Picture a 9-year-old kid in Amman. He's scrubbing dishes in a restaurant kitchen just to eat, entirely unnoticed by the city around him. Today, that exact same kid can't walk down those streets without being mobbed. He traded the cramped, soapy sinks of back alley kitchens for sold-out stadiums packed with tens of thousands of screaming fans. At just 23 years old, Shami commands numbers that most established record labels can only dream of. 5.4 million YouTube subscribers, 2.7 billion total views, and over 1 million regular monthly listeners on Spotify. Those figures are climbing by the second, and his reach now dwarfs that of many traditional industry-backed pop acts. Yet, if you strip away the millions in revenue and the massive streaming data, the tension in his story stems from a much harsher reality. He is a man without a country. Shami's trajectory started in Syria, but he was forced to flee the country with his family when he was only 9 years old. He left behind the ancient, densely packed streets of Damascus, trading the only home he knew for an uncertain future across the border. Arriving in Jordan, survival became the immediate priority. He spent his early teenage years working grueling hours as a delivery boy and a dishwasher to help keep his family afloat. He was living out a trauma shared by millions of other children caught in the region's conflicts, physically displaced, suddenly forced to grow up fast. Even while wiping down tables and sweeping floors, he was constantly writing. He drafted the lyrics to his earliest tracks during those exact cleaning shifts. Curious, leaning in tone, that crucible of poverty and exile provided the raw material for his art. It leads to the question of how a teenager with dish soap on his hands engineered songs that now pull hundreds of millions of plays. The foundation of this success is a specific sonic strategy. Think of it as the blend, a deliberate collision of two entirely different musical worlds. The first component relies on the heavy emotional weight of his childhood. He channels that grief and displacement through classical Eastern melodic structures. You hear it in the mournful, atmospheric tones of acoustic instruments like the ney flute. It sounds deeply rooted in tradition. But then comes the second component. He takes those acoustic, melancholy riffs and layers them over aggressive, high BPM Western trap beats. These are crisp, heavy electronic drum patterns programmed on modern production controllers. When those two elements are crushed together, they generate a completely distinct sound profile. The result is essentially sad lyrics you can dance to. By packaging deep psychological anxiety inside a club-ready rhythm, he bypassed the label executives and connected directly with the millions of other displaced youth in the region. The streaming data shows a consistent pattern of high-performing releases. His discography isn't defined by a single viral moment, but by a series of massive, outlier-level hits. Look at the performance of his biggest tracks. Doctor pulled in 210 million views, Wine reached 272 million, and Yalel Wal Yalain topped 303 million on YouTube. Those streams cluster intensely in areas with massive youth and refugee populations across the Middle East. When he sings, "I am known as a refugee, no homeland," he is naming the specific reality of the community he represents. He is providing a voice for a demographic of kids who grew up displaced, addressing an audience that the mainstream media rarely reaches. But despite the billions of views and the massive revenue, he still faced a significant hurdle. For years, legacy television networks and old-guard music executives continued to ignore him. In the Arab world, true cultural coronation still requires validation from the traditional establishment. Digital success was the first step, but it wasn't the final one. That establishment eventually had to bow to the math. The tipping point arrived with a call from MBC, the largest broadcasting network in the Middle East. They tapped him to be the newest coach on The Voice Kids, making him the youngest judge in the history of the show at just 23. He was suddenly sitting in a red chair alongside established pop stars like Saudi singer Dalia Mubarak. But the true weight of this achievement is geographic. The show is filmed at the state-of-the-art Olive Wood Studios, located in Amman, Jordan. This is the exact same city where his family first settled as refugees. He is now mentoring the next generation of singers, mere miles from the restaurants where he used to scrub grease off plates and deliver takeout orders. He walked out of the kitchen and is now commanding the stage in a tailored suit, an undeniable fixture of the pop establishment. Al-Shami's ascent demonstrates that cultural icons aren't only engineered in corporate boardrooms. As he put it himself in a message to his followers, "I left you a refugee. I returned a star."